And a lot of times you can get a quarterback that makes the offensive line better rather than being in a situation in Philly where the offensive line makes the quarterback better. Good morning, Jay Hood. Good to talk to you. Good morning, Cap. Good to talk
Good
to
morning.
you guys,
Great to talk to you.
Always.
So we got free agency starts on the 10th of March, but there's a lot of back channeling going on. If I told you could get Trey Smith, but it's going to cost you $105 million with a massive guarantee, would you overpay to get an elite guard?
I would not overpay to get anybody, really. One thing when I look at free agent offensive linemen, especially that have been in the pro game, I study the quarterback they've playing with more as much as watching them as an offensive lineman. Because if you go out throughout the course of history and you look at free agent offensive linemen that have left Peyton Manning, free agent offensive linemen that have left some of the more talented quarterbacks in the NFL, they really haven't had the success if they go to a team that is not efficiently run at the quarterback position than the teams that they're coming from. And a lot of times you can get a quarterback that makes the offensive line better rather than being in a situation in Philly where the offensive line makes the quarterback better. And so I don't know. I mean, I would have to do, if I'm going to pay an offensive guard over $100 million with $65 million guaranteed, I'm going to have to do a lot of investigative work. But, this is a team that Ryan Poles worked for. This is a team that they may have a little bit more background information than some of the other free agents out there. But I said it a couple weeks ago, I would be okay if I have 7 draft choices, spending 5 of them on offensive linemen and 2 of them on defensive linemen, and try to bring a roots up type of offensive line that will be here for 7 to 8 years, a lot with Caleb.
But to quote my partner, now you would know better. You played in the Super Bowl. We didn't. However, I agree with him. If it's all roots up, as you like to call it, it takes time to develop. I think you got to go out with all this cap space, and you got to get some type of an anchor, tackle, center, guard, whoever it is. I don't care what it costs. I got to get a veteran. Agreed, Hoodie?
Yes, absolutely. And so I thought your opening salvo was interesting, Tom, when you said that you wouldn't overpay for anybody. So ultimately what you're saying is that you're going to get the player that you like, and you're going to mold and shape that player to what you want him to be. Do you believe that coaching back in your day was better in being able to take someone, say, that's middle of the road and coach them up versus now?
Not necessarily better. We didn't have any freedom. We didn't have any free agency to look forward to. We didn't have that, okay, if you're not going to pay me this or I have this type of bonus attached to me, you can't cut me anyways, and I'm not going anywhere, or as soon as the season ends, I'm out of here because I know what type of offer I'm going to get. Just the whole construction of a player's financial career is so much different nowadays than it was back then. And, that's why we as a group, we stayed together for 7 years, because once our contract ran out, our team had first rights. And, we are in the midst of kind of a really successful era that we were all staying, but we weren't getting paid anything. Nowadays, when you talk about an offensive guard that's playing for a team that's had the success of the Kansas City Chiefs and 25 or 26 years old, looking at free agency and talking about $100 million, listen, I would be, if I was that player, I'd be willing to pull the ripcord and go wherever they're going to pay me. And when you're making a decision on a lot of these guys, and it's, for me, I would need that face-to-face contact meeting. I would need to learn a little bit about these guys and their background. Are they the alpha male that's going to immediately make this offensive line room better, more committed, tougher, and everything that you need to bring in a right guard that's going to help Darnell Wright become the player that we all hope that eventually he's going to be? And so there's a lot of different factors that come into play when you're looking at a NFL free agent as opposed to a rookie draft choice.
Just saying that you can't pay players today a loaf of wholesome bread. You said you wouldn't overpay, Tom, but the thing is, that's all this is now. is that guys want to be able to get their payday, and rightfully so, because they work hard, they deserve it. I'm just saying that because of where the Bears are right now, yes, you want to be able to draft well, you want to be able to develop said talent, but at the same time, if there's going to be a free agent out there that can accelerate your opportunity to win, you got to go find them, and you have to pay for it. This is what it is. Is that not fair?
Well, yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Jay Hood. I agree with you. But, is what position to make this offensive line a success is your priority in terms of the dollars? Is there an NFL free agent center out there? Is there a center in college that can come in and play immediately, that can be the glue that holds this whole offensive line together? And we've seen it in the past with what Jay did for Hilge, what Jay Hilgenberg did for this team, what Olin Kreutz did for this football team. And I just think that that's such a position of importance on the offensive line for the quarterback, for the protections, and a guy that has the type of demeanor that we're looking, that is going to help all the guys in this offensive line, just not one position.
Is that not the left side, though, Cap, of Caleb Williams? Is it his blind side or someone that he can jibe with at center? Like, anybody just can't just snap the ball.
Like, I don't believe they're bringing Tevin Jenkins back. I wouldn't. I don't think the guy is a warrior that plays through whatever is ailing him. Braxton Jones I would bring back in some shape or form. I would go out and upgrade center from Coleman Shelton to, let's call him Drew Dahlman from the Atlanta Falcons, who have some cap issues. Mm-hmm. I would like to see them go get Trey Smith if their homework tells them that's an all-pro caliber guard. He's 26 years of age. What are you doing at right guard then? If you play him there, then I got to get a left guard.
But listen, I can't. I'm not going to ignore Karan Amagaji yet. If he's the type of guy that I really believe, from what I've seen out of him in the meeting room and on the practice field last year, and the limited amount of game tape I've had, is he going to be a guy that can step in and I can rely upon him being a 17-game-a-year guy? He played a limited amount of snaps, and I had a couple of injuries that were setbacks, and he came in here with a bad quad. And so I think when you spend a draft choice as high as you did on a guy like Amagaji, you got to, be predetermined that he's going to be a starter. And I don't know where Braxton Jones is going to be with his ankle injury. And now if he's a position that I feel that you got to get your legs stronger and you have to invest more time in the weight room to become the player that we hope you can be, how much strength work are you going to be able to do on your legs in the time that you're rehabbing your ankle?
Fair.
And so those are types of things that I would have to be privy to the information to pencil in anybody anywhere. And to me, it's, I think Karan is really the guy that has to come in here in the second year to be to make that starter steps.
Is the postman there yet? Sounds like he is.
No, I am having no, it's the city of Joliet is looking at the water lines in the house. And Rudy's a little bit overexcited because he's in the basement. Sorry.
No, it's fine. We like the ambiance.
In terms of the running back position, there have been people that want Ashton Genty at number 10, and I'm sure he's a hell of a player. I want offensive and defensive linemen. Mason Graham, Will Campbell, and I can keep going. What about you if Genty was there and you thought he was a star?
No disrespect to him, and I think that he has the ability to be a star. And it doesn't matter what program you're coming from. It's just what you've, your tape of evidence that you've shown everybody around the evaluating country of what he could be for your football team. But I think there's other guys out there that could be profitable in a Ben Johnson offense that, can be, with a little bit more experience, a little bit more time in the NFL with shorter term contracts to see how they fit into your system. And so, no, I'm like you, Cap. I'm going to sit here and probably talk about it until we talk the Thursday, the morning of the draft, that I'm still interested in the offensive and defensive linemen. And looking at the free agencies out there, there's still some interesting offensive linemen out there that are in their 20s that could come in and contribute for less than $100 million. There's some college offensive linemen that could come in and play the center position and start immediately on a rookie contract. And so I still have belief that if you had Darnell Wright, if you had Amagaji, if you brought in a center that could start as a rookie, and then figure out how those other pieces can fit into place through free agency or the draft, I still believe that you could go out there and put together a functioning offensive line, especially if Ben Johnson is going to be the number one play action passing offense like Detroit was, because there's nothing more favorable to breaking in an offensive line than a lot of play action passing responsibilities, because that job sometimes is not as difficult as having running plays and straight third down pass protections.
Tom, I'm concerned about the health and the development of the defensive line. There's been some teams where the Bears have not necessarily been the best, but you always knew the defense would give you an honest day's work, and you know that they get to the quarterback or just kind of swarm the quarterback as much as possible. So I'm just wondering, I'll pick out a name. I'll pick out Jack Sanborn. Didn't see enough of Jack on the field to be able to be a difference maker at linebacker, but then the defensive line didn't get enough pass rush as well. So I want to get your thoughts about Jack, and also what could be done to be able to get this defense to be a little bit more swarming.
Immediate pressure, and whether it's with four-man defensive line or a four-man defensive line and a linebacker, I think Kyler Gordon is a good blitzer. I think Jack Sanborn is a good blitzer. Jack Sanborn is more of a first and second down linebacker when they have a heavy run formation in whatever opponent that you're facing. Again, it's going to be about, Austin Booker's going to have to take an enormous step forward in his second year and come out here and contribute as a pass rusher as if he's a veteran starter by this point. And I think that when you look at the rest of the defensive line, Andrew Billings and Javon Dexter Sr. and however some of these other free agents fit into Ryan Poles' plan, no matter who you have at linebacker and defensive back, if you're not doing something special on the defensive line, it's going to be difficult for those guys to live up to their responsibilities. TJ Edwards, I love the guy, man. I'm all in with him. I don't know if he has the coverage skills that you need to have if you're going to put him on pre-snap coverage responsibilities. And then how does your defensive backs fit into place, and what are they going to do with the safety position? So there's a lot of questions to be answered, but the quickest solution to the defense is being able to get more immediate pressure out of your defensive line.
By the way, I want to read you a Daniel Jeremiah PSA. Friendly PSA, you cannot marvel at the Eagles' talent depth at O-line and D-line 1 month watching the Super Bowl and then bemoan your team taking one the next month. You think you have enough talent and depth at those spots? You don't. Be greedy. Get more.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
That's probably a quote that he read out of Jim Finks' handbook from 45 years ago.
Right.
Because that, when you go back and you look at the Bears defensive line, when they had McMichael playing like a first rounder, then they brought in Hampton, they had Mikey Hartenstein. They went out and took a chance on a guy like Richard Dent. They still drafted William Perry in the first round after one of the most statistically successful defensive seasons the Bears have ever had. And then when you look at Otis and you look at Wilbur and you look at Singletary, where they are drafted and what they did for that defense, it's something that's held true back in the 70s and 80s, and it holds true today.
We went to the draft when I was in college. I was in the Twin Cities, and the Bears are picking, I want to say Singletary went, number 40? It was second round.
Yeah.
And we're there, and it was different then. There was no war room. The Vikings people, Mike Lynn was right there. And they said the Vikings were the next pick. Chicago Bears select Mike Singletary, and we heard the F-bombs come flying from the table. They wanted him in the worst way, and the Bears got him, I think, 1 pick in front.
Yeah, back that same day, when I was drafted, they started with the first pick in the draft, and they went all the way straight through nonstop until the last pick in the draft. So it wasn't a 3-day celebration, and it was nothing but a phone call to a landline that you had to give them your number, sitting in your kitchen waiting for them to call you.
Crazy. Different world.
How's Jeff Joniak? We haven't not heard from him for a while. I know you're going to be working with him today on Bears Weekly. How's Jeff been?
Jeff is doing great. Some really super unfortunate news. His mom passed away yesterday.
Oh
wow.
So sorry.
And I don't know if it's right for me to break that type of news, but Jeff did call, and I talked to him, but it's just a super unfortunate set of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And darn, I didn't want to sit here and lie to you, but I didn't. I don't know what. So I mean, just all the support in the world, because he was super close to his mom, just like we all were.
Yeah.
So it's just an unfortunate set of circumstances.
Yeah, our deepest sympathies to Jeff.
We'll reach out. That's what we do. He needs our support, so we're going to reach out to our teammates.
For sure.
All right, my friend. So is everything okay at the house now? Because I know when Joliet dug up that concrete, what did they see down there? You got money buried down in there?
Yeah, it's just like the underground railroad. It's
he's got money down there.
That's it.
That's right.
Hey man, have a great day.
Oh,
All right, you
man.
guys. Thank you.
Be good.